But at the end of it, I don't want to go because these things are all, the tapes are available, the records are there. In fact, only about 2 weeks ago I saw a set of the records again. The transcripts are available. But we talked about the Nigerian situation, and certainly at the end everybody says, oh, you told them this, you did that. The fact was that our case was so clear that I actually believe at the end of Aburi that the problem was not Gowon, but probably some ambassadors in Lagos who were pressing for something else. Because we understood each other. We agreed on every single point. The drafting was, in fact, my chief secretary with 2 other chief secretaries from the other side. They said, no. And drafted and agreed. We looked at it, we agreed. General Ankara read over the whole report again to us at the end. Asked us if we wanted to amend anything. No. At the end of all that, the position was so good that actually Ankara drove Jack, Gowon and myself to the airport. Jack was sitting on his left, I was sitting on his right. He was in the middle. And in the course of that journey, at a point, General Ankara shook his head and said, oh, thank you. Thank you. If only we can go on like this, everything would be all right. I believe I was the one. As I do now from time to time, I go for the dramatic. Suddenly I picked up Gowon's hand, put it on Ankara's lap, brought my other hand, placed it on it, and I said, General Sir, hold us together, I want to say something. So General Ankara put his hand on top of the 2 hands, and I said, General, I want to assure you that I am totally satisfied with everything we said. I will even go further and say to you something I did not say at the conference, and that is that once we have implemented everything we have said, I would ask you for one favor and one favor only, and that would be to be the one to propose Jack Gowon as a head of state of Nigeria.
It was a 2-day conference of peers and old mates, but its aftermath produced even further controversy.
When we came back, and Ojukwu did not go to make the statement he made first, virtually giving the impression that we've agreed for a confederation to move apart, etc., which was really not in exactly that. If I had had the opportunity to make my broadcast in a first, because that was the agreement, not for him to make the broadcast first, then if I had committed myself to what he said, then there wouldn't have been any problem. But he went and said certain things that certainly looked wrong, and therefore we saw in practically everything he did, I think it was for to play up to the gallery, not being sincere.
At Aburi, yes, we agreed on area commands for the armed forces. At Aburi, we agreed that the police force would be decentralized. We agreed on those. Yes. We agreed. Even to show that we didn't separate, at Aburi we also agreed on a certain revenue formula. That's what happened at Aburi. Aburi again, because I always end up, it sounds odd today, but I always end up by saying I must have been naive, because I believed actually that would be the end. I'll confess to you, when I got back to Enugu, oh yes, I had a party, believing that probably the danger was over. That's what we thought. Until they then began to deny everything. It was the denial of Nigeria that made me publish the tapes of Aburi, because we had insisted that each one should have a set of tapes. Everybody talks about confederation. Go and look at the transcript. There is no time that the word confederation came from my lips.
In broad terms, Aburi changed the title of head of state from Supreme Military Commander to Commander-in-Chief. It gave the regions control over internal affairs, and concurrence of each region was now required for any decision affecting the whole country.
When you listen to the two generals as they give account of the Aburi Accord, there are things that is very, very clear in this matter. When General Ojukwu is narrating what happened during the Aburi Accord meeting in Ghana, his words are very, very clear and very, very sound. He gives examples that tapes are there, records are there, videos are there to be an evidence that this is what they agreed on that accord meeting which the two nations held in Aburi in Ghana. But when you watch and listen when General Gowon is narrating his own side of the story, the look at his lips will tell you that all that he's saying, he's trying to find a word to defend what has already done, what they have done. That his words are not strong to able to countermount what Odumegwu Ojukwu has said about the agreement they have. Even when they were going to the airport after the meeting, had two of them put hands together to able to decree what they agreed, by saying that he will like the general to use his hand to proclaim General Gowon as the head of state of Nigeria. And why did it take Gowon so long to write his autobiography on this issue? And what kind of world are they living those days that even the BBC journalists, those people who cover the event, they're supposed to have their own record, and they're supposed to have a communique that will issue by someone after the meeting immediately, that the journalists have to interview what is the outcome of the meeting, what is the resolution, what is the agreement to reach. At least you can able to give a brief account of what happened on that meeting and what happened to the record in Ghana. Because that agreement, the Ghanaian authority is supposed to be in their archive. That agreement is supposed to be there, what was written, because Ojukwu was saying that his secretary was documenting it, and the secretary of the other side were also documenting what they have said. I believe that this agreement should be in Ojukwu's account or in his diary, and he also need to be in Gowon possession. If Gowon will tell himself the truth, and the likes of Olusegun Obasanjo and Ibrahim Babangida and even Danjuma, they're supposed to have a clue of what really happened at that Aburi Accord. Because if Nigeria wanted to unite and they come together to heal their wound, that the truth of that matter need to establish, because the mistake of that Aburi or Aburi Accord cost millions of lives on the side of the Biafran. And when Gowon was making a speech in his book launch, I didn't hear him apologizes for the killing of, those, the Igbos that were, massacred, especially the Asaba massacred. Apologize to the death of those people. I am stand to be corrected if he mentioned it. Please correct me. And it took him so long because our people said that any talk you talk at the back of someone who is not alive, nobody will believe you, because the dead cannot rise up to defend himself. Since the two of them are the major actor on that event, it is only him, Gowon, is alive today to give his own account, which have taken so long. It is too late now, because his report, nobody will take his report as the genuine report. When Ojukwu wrote his book, Because I'm Involved, he tried to mention those things on the book, what really happened. As you listen to that interview now that we just played, his own word, as I said before, is more straight and more direct and more powerful. This single act of not coming clearer to say exactly what they agreed. I know that so international community may advise you against what you agreed. I'm not talking to General Gowon. At least now that you are old, you can say the truth. The Bible says the truth you said will set you free. The truth you said now will set the Igbos free from the calamity that they are facing in Nigeria today. Because that single act of that civil war and the coup of 1966, January 15, has placed the eastern part of Nigeria as people that are not recognized, people that are not belong to that country. And that cost, you are fighting that war to keep Nigeria one. You have seen where the Nigeria is today. Your state, Plateau State, you have seen what is happening there. I'm not trying to mock or trying to bring sentiment, but deep inside you, General Gowon, you will be telling yourself, if I know I could have allowed these people to go, because you made a history by letting them to go. Because letting them to go, we meaning that the regions those days need to go their separate ways, and the development that we see in Nigeria today, or if we stay in those regions, will be massive, because there will be competition to able to know who will develop more. If Nigeria will be like UAE, the way the regions they were developing based on the resources they generated from their own region. But you failed to do that, and other things that have followed. But we are not going to be going into those things, whether you are right or whether Ojukwu is right. This thing has become history, but the history must be set straight so that the children that is growing will know the truth of what happened, where Nigeria is coming from and where they are going, because that civil war really devastated Nigeria so much and make us to hate ourselves, especially the other tribe. The hatred they have on the Igbos need to readdress and need to, come out plainly and say the truth so that Nigeria will be free. If you warrant that the truth you said about what happened will lead for unity and the reconciliation, yes, it will be a beginning point for us to get it right. Because since then, no Igbo man has ascended to the highest post of Nigeria, being the president of Nigeria, because they believe that an Igbo man is a rebel. An Igbo man is the one who have tried to go his separate ways before, that the Igbos are the people who lost in the war, so that they don't have mouth or say as long as Nigeria affairs is concerned. I believe that other elders who are those days will say the truth, or the Ghanaians have to come out with those reports. The BBCs have to come out with those reports. The Ojukwu children have to look into the archive and find those books, or the stories that have stayed. The children of Yakubu Gowon and the other generals who are into Nigerian army those days that are still alive need to come out. Let's settle this matter once and for all, so that everybody will be at peace. If we really wanted to keep one Nigeria, we need to come out. Let's start from there and settle the matter from that place ongoing, so that we as Nigerians will live in peace and in harmony, where truthfulness, equity, fairness, and justice will prevail in all sectors of Nigerian life. So, Yakubu Gowon, I wish you all the best, but I believe that you will do more. You're supposed to do more by at least apologizing to the Igbos for letting them go into the war, and for letting them not to go their, not letting them to go their separate ways in that time. And since then, have that name Biafra, have he died? People are still agitating, and they will continue to be agitating until finally someone grant them their request. And I believe that Biafra coming to be a reality is very, very close. That there's no way anyone can stop it again, because we are not going to fight war as we did before again, but diplomatically, we are going to achieve Biafra. In one unity, Biafra will stand, and we will get it. Let everybody, if we cannot stay as one Nigeria in peace, or allow an Igbo man to at least be the president of Nigeria, let us try. If not, let every region go their separate ways. I believe that will solve the issue of the problem which we are having in Nigeria now. God bless you all. I wish you all the best. Long live Federal Republic of Biafra. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.